everybody, and welcome to Around the World with Duff. That's me, Duff, and welcome to the show. This is a live stream coming to you from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, or Canada as we say here. Well, this is episode number 9. Number nine. Today is May 30th, if you didn't know that. 2020. It's also a really important event and year because pretty much there is a lot going on this year, but we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. I want to welcome you and everyone from around the globe who has never seen this show. This is me visiting different folks from around the planet and from every country I could possibly go to, which seems to be happening quite frequently now. So yes, it's me checking in with people in their day-to-day lives, who these people are, what it's like during this time of unrest. It's really unrest right now, that's for sure, especially in the US of A, the ununited States of America. Oh boy, actually, I think it's actually uniting people in some sort of strange way, but that's a whole other discussion. So yeah, we go live Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays on YouTube and Facebook. Right now, this is streaming live, and the times will vary. So keep an eye out for the times because it's really hard scheduling people when they're a day ahead or 7 hours or 8 hours ahead. So I'm trying my best to sort of keep that at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but sometimes it's 8 a.m. Usually 8 a.m. on Saturdays or some of the days. So just keep an eye out for that. My upcoming guests are Zdravko from Montenegro. That's happening on, what day is it today? I don't even know. It's, what did I say? It's Saturday. On Tuesday, I'm going to be talking to Zdravko. I hope I pronounced that right. And Fahir, he'll correct me on that as well, in Dubai. So yes, I'm really looking forward to talking to those guys. And then I think on next weekend, I'll be talking with Patty, my friend Patty in Japan. So lots of really interesting things going on. I first of all wanted to just give you a little COVID update. Whoa, hold on, my screen went wonky there. So this is what's happening globally. As you can see, the red here is where things are really getting out of hand. And you can see North America, US, all along the eastern or western side of South America. Brazil, of course, is bad, but also I have a friend in Peru and Chile. Things are not great there as well. And Europe, Spain, I think France actually was hit with a large caseload yesterday. So yes, 28,000 deaths in France. So yeah, things are changing and shifting. It's a roller coaster ride. So the USA has 1,724,873 cases and 101 plus deaths, 101,000 that is. Canada is 89,976 cases and 6,982 deaths. Sweden, that's where we're focusing on today, is 36,476 cases and 4,350 deaths. This is as of yesterday. Sweden's doing quite well, but we'll talk about that and why they're doing quite well. The lowest is I guess in the world, it has 2 cases, and I actually I had that written down there, but I'll have to recheck that. Chicago has the highest amount of cases in the States, 74,521 cases. New York City's second with 60,000 plus. So yeah, things are changing and shifting, and we need to still be diligent with what we're doing with social distancing. I think is the most important thing. I don't want to dwell too long on COVID, but this is our life right now. But social distancing, I think, is the most important thing. We can wear masks, but the virus permeates the masks around. I heard it referred to as a aerosol virus, which I found really interesting. When you hear somebody talk about they can smell someone else's perfume, lingering that is actually what it is. Those are the small particles that are still lingering in the air, and that's why we need to keep that 6 foot or 2 meters plus distance, especially indoors. Outdoors, we don't have to worry as much, but it's still an issue. So that's yeah. Also, what's happening is a quite profound sadness in the U.S. with George Floyd's death, shot by the police officer who actually was accused and of murder today, of manslaughter. So yes, and hopefully, and I think the other officers are also up for that. But this is George Floyd here. I just wanted to give a moment to him, and I think that's really important for us to recognize what's happening. And because of that, unfortunately, the whole U.S. is and there's some protests happening in Canada as well, but protests and riots that are happening in the U.S. So that's a big concern. And what's even more of a concern is there are people who are rioting and looting, and that has nothing to do with George Floyd, although it is a deep-seated anger in the U.S. with so many people, so many Black men being shot by officials and police. So, you know, the big guy in the big house there is pressing all the buttons, that's for sure. And I hope that people will come together, and I hope there's change from this. You know, when the people rise up, things will happen, change will happen. I want to show you quickly this beautiful little video that this 12-year-old guy, 12-year-old little boy in, I think he's somewhere in the States. His name's Kedron Bryant, and he's pleading, you know, about the police brutality in the U.S. And he was on, I think, Little Big Shots TV show. I'll just show you a little clip.
I'm a young Black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind, every day I'm being hunted as prey. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
So these are the children of the next generation. Imagine growing up in all of this. They're deeply affected. As you can see, a 12-year-old singing with so much passion like that, makes me, it really upsets me. And this is going to affect our, you know, generations to come. And hopefully they will be the leaders for change over the next few years. Also, our guest today is Janya Cambronero Severin, and she's coming to us from Sweden. A couple of facts about Sweden, and I've been intrigued with. Well, I actually have been to Norway and all through that area. It's one of the most beautiful areas on the planet. It's very similar to Alaska, but in a more grand way. I can't even explain it. You have to go there if everything opens up again. Sweden and that whole area should be one of your destinations. So some facts about Sweden is 2/3 of it is covered with forest. I didn't know that. And North Korea has a 2.7 billion debt to Sweden. The 5th biggest country in Europe. It's actually quite large. And then this is really interesting because coming from Saskatchewan and from rural Canada, I didn't know this, but I actually thought that this animal was just exclusive to Canada. There are 400,000 moose that roam freely in Sweden. I didn't know that. I think that's it's really, I feel like a kinship now to Sweden because I've seen so many moose in my lifetime. And eaten moose meat, you know, it's in my bloodstream. It's the first country to ban smacking. So if you had a kid, they've banned that. They've banned smacking and also flogging. I don't know when was the last time you flogged, but it's been a while for me. And actually, that's all through Europe. Flogging, which is the I've done wrong, Mama. I've done wrong. It's banned. You can't do it. So don't pull out your leather strips and go at yourself, guys. The highest number of McDonald's in Europe per capita. Hanya, I'm going to have to ask her about that, how many burgers she's had last week. And also, this is a really nice thing that I discovered. Gay relationships were legal in Sweden since 1944. Also very interesting. And I had no idea. I thought that, everything in terms of gay marriage was quite recent. So maybe we'll talk to Hanya more about that. So the Swedish government has ramped up their testing to 50 to 100,000 tests this week. Sweden's neighbors, Denmark and Norway, have agreed to open their borders to each other, but not to Sweden. Also interesting. I think Denmark and Norway have what they call the herd immunity, and they didn't lock down. So we'll talk to Hanya more about that too. And they're going to Sweden's going to open their universities and schools June 15th. So that's pretty bold. And I hope that goes well. I know in Canada, we are still figuring out how we're going to do that, but maybe some people can chime in on our live chat and tell us the update. I have friends who are school teachers here in Canada. Anyway, yes, before I blab on anymore, these are all really interesting tidbits, but I really wanted to talk to Hanya more about her, where she is at, and hopefully she's standing by in the green room, which is just back there. She's Hanya, are you ready? It's funny, she's not answering. Anyway, let's bring in Hanya. She's hello, dear.
Hello.
Hi, Hanya. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming on the program.
Absolutely.
It's not like we're on TV or anything. I guess YouTube is like the new television of, right? The
I
generation.
think you're right. Yeah.
So you are in Sweden right now, right?
Yeah, I am.
And how is everything over there? How have you been coping?
Well, as you mentioned, we've had a little different strategy.
Yeah.
So I don't think that the difference has been as great as it has been in a lot of different parts of the world.
Right.
As an example, we've kept our elementary schools open. So up until 9th grade, people have still been in class.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And we've done high school and university have been on a distance. Like everything that has to do with grown-ups has been distant learning.
Right.
But we've had all our stores open and stuff like that. So I think people from elsewhere who would have come to Sweden would have been like, "Oh, you guys are just going on as normal."
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Like
But we're
nothing's
not.
happening. No. Before we get into more about Sweden, can you just tell everyone, for a lot of people don't know who you are, and a lot of people do. Hopefully there'll be a lot of people that are tuning in, friends of yours. Somebody just said cool shirt. Thanks. I don't know if they're talking about you or me.
I think you, because it is a cool
Thanks,
shirt.
Yeah, it felt like it was kind of a downer day, so I felt like I needed a little tropicale.
Nice.
Anyway, if you wouldn't mind telling people a little bit about yourself, I would love to know more.
Sure. So my name is Hanya. I am half Swedish and half Costa Rican. So my father is from Costa Rica and my mom is from Sweden, although she was born in Tanzania in Africa.
Wow.
I know, right?
Jeez.
Yeah. So my
Interesting.
grandparents were missionaries there for 15 years and she was
Gotcha.
born there. Yeah.
Okay. And that's why you traveled around as much as you did from like I see you have quite a few different countries like
Yeah.
Costa Rica, Spain, California, Vancouver's later, but that's
Yeah. Yeah, well, most of my travels as a kid has been because my dad got works at different countries.
Right.
So we moved as a family, and then I moved to the States to study theater, and then I moved to Canada with my husband because he was studying film. So
Okay.
yeah,
And okay, so you grew up in Uppsala, is that
Sweden.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And that's oh, I actually think I have a beautiful picture of your town.
You too.
Uh, is that it?
Yay! Yes, that's my town.
So
That is a
gorgeous.
gorgeous picture.
Oh my gosh, so beautiful. And that church is stunning. I've
Yes.
seen pictures inside. It's just gold, it's gold gilded and it's gorgeous, hey?
Fun facts from middle school. It is 180 meters tall,
Wow,
and it's
okay.
the tallest church in Northern Europe.
Really?
Hmm.
For this, so how big is your town? How big is Uppsala?
Right now, I think we're about 230,000 ish,
That
somewhere
is
around there.
saying something, building a church that huge for such a little. So it's obviously a lot of people attending the churches there. And
No,
oh,
it's a very, like, not nowadays. It used
wow,
to be big. I mean, Sweden has been a Protestant country almost since Luther.
right.
So religion has played a big part, but nowadays I would say that it's a very low percentage that is actually like practicing
Right.
Christianity. Yeah.
And and Sweden had a king at one time, right? It
Oh,
was
we do.
oh, you still do. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, okay. But it moved into so the prime minister is under the king, or does the king have anything to do with political?
No,
It's just like the
he's,
Queen of England kind of
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
pulling her weight around and oh,
Hmm.
interesting. And so yeah, I just wanted to show people. So Sweden
Yeah.
borders Norway and Finland, Estonia. I have some
Hmm.
friends from Estonia, Lithuania, Poland, and Denmark. So yeah. So and then of course Russia is right there as well with a very high count of COVID happening right now. Is the border to Sweden closed to these other countries?
Yes, but I think it's closed on their part and not ours.
Oh, okay.
But I
So,
might be wrong.
hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, definitely Norway, because I think I just read Norway and Denmark are right
Yeah.
closed to you, but you allow them in.
Yeah, I think we do. I have to be honest and say that I listened to all the news in the beginning very attentively, and
Yeah,
then the last few weeks I've been like, oh,
I know it's getting to that point, right, where it's
hmm,
getting overwhelming, and you can only because we're used to things happening, coming and going in waves. Like we're
yeah,
used to, oh, there was whatever, uh, hurricane, and then it's done, right? Unfortunately, those people are still the effects are still happening, but
of
it
course.
goes through its news cycle and then it's gone. But this is like we're in our what is it, third month of just
Yeah,
nonstop COVID, and
yeah,
changing. So what is so I'm going to go back to your life first of all of how you got from so you moved from Sweden to Costa Rica?
yeah. When I was
Wow.
a kid, like tiny, like two or
Oh,
something.
okay. So you don't really have much memory of that.
No, not much.
And then how many years were you in Costa Rica, which is actually a beautiful country too?
It is gorgeous. I was only there for 6 months.
Okay. Okay.
So we moved to Costa Rica and then we moved back to Sweden.
Ah.
And then when I was about 10, we moved to Spain for 6 months. And
Wow.
then we moved back. And
Jeez.
when I was 17, we moved to Nicaragua
Oh.
and stayed there for 6 months. And then we moved back.
And these are all the missionary uh
Oh,
trips.
no, this had nothing to do with missionary.
Oh,
This had to do with my dad's job, except Costa Rica, which was kind of like, let's get to know the family sort
yeah.
of thing.
Right.
Yeah. And I
Okay.
think my mom studied there too. So
Right. And so your husband, sorry, your husband's name is
Nathanael in Swedish, so Nathaniel in
oh,
English.
okay, yeah.
Hmm.
I have a friend named Nathaniel who insists that I call him Nathaniel and not Nate or Nathan.
Yeah.
So you met him in Sweden?
Yeah, in Uppsala.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you moved to Vancouver with
Yeah.
Nathaniel?
So we We got married in 2017, and we had already been talking about moving abroad.
Right.
So after we got married, it was sort of like, okay, let's make this happen.
Hmm. And
So
why
we
did you
started playing for it.
and why did you choose Vancouver?
So according to him, he has been dreaming about going to Vancouver Film School since he was like in junior high school or something like that.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So we
Huh.
were like, okay, let's do it.
And why
And
there?
then we
Did
did.
he have a friend that
Mm-mm.
just chose Vancouver? I mean, it is I lived in Vancouver for 7 years, and it is a stunning place. Like
It is.
it's like it must be. You probably have the same feeling I do. It's kind of like a second home. When you fly in, I get warm fuzzies when I fly in there. I'm like, this is so great. It's just
gorgeous.
everything. Yeah, it is really
Yeah.
paradise. So then you stayed there in Vancouver for how many years?
14 months.
Oh, 14 months. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm kind of good at doing the short kind of things.
Yes.
When I lived in the States, it was like, when I was in the States, it was for a year the first time, and then it was like 7 months the other
Right.
time. So
Okay. Is this a friend of yours?
yes, it is. It's one of my former theater students.
Oh, great. And Jen's there. Hi, Jen.
And Jen,
Our
hi.
buddy. Hi, Jen. I always called Jen the young Marilyn Monroe. When she was younger, she looked when she had red hair, and Marilyn Monroe kind of had red hair. And she would straighten. She looked exactly like Marilyn Monroe. So
Jen, you'll have to send me one of those pictures.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, actually, I got her a job. We did a corporate job, and she was dressed up as Marilyn Monroe, and she looked stunning. She looked like
Oh my
Marilyn.
God.
Yeah, we'll have to find those photos somewhere and scare her. This is our friend Steve. I have no idea. He must be drunk. I love Ikea. IKEA.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And Swedish meatball.
Wow.
I have to tell you that the Swedish meatballs you get at Ikea, though, are not as good as the real deal.
No, I would guess not. I don't. Yeah, I don't think there's very few things at IKEA are actually, so that's an interesting thing. Is IKEA well respected in Sweden?
Oh,
Or is
yeah.
it like the Walmart of Sweden?
No, it's like church.
Okay.
But more popular because, as I said before, no, IKEA is a serious Swedish institution.
Yeah. And so do they still have the food court in Sweden with all the same products, the meatballs and or are they the actual? Oh, okay. Oh.
I mean, but like the cinnamon rolls at IKEA in Canada are American cinnamon rolls.
Right.
Sorry, guys, I just have to spoil that. But
I want to know the difference. What's the difference?
So they're a lot sweeter.
Oh,
The
okay.
Swedish cinnamon rolls are not as sweet and gooey.
Yeah, right. Oh,
so I guess it's a little Americanized in some ways in North America, and in Sweden it's like more Swedish.
Yeah. A little bit, yeah. I think Swedish pastries are delicious, right? They're known for that, right? It's
I don't know if they're known for it, but they sure are.
They sure are there. Yeah, exactly. Now, so when you were in Vancouver, and then how did you end up getting to Los Angeles?
Oh, that was like 7 years ago, 8, something like that. I started a master's in theater.
Ah, okay.
So then I moved there.
You started in Vancouver or?
No, in Los Angeles.
Oh, in Los Angeles. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So then that brought you back to Sweden then after LA or after Vancouver? Ah, okay.
No, after. So I did LA for like 7 months, and then I moved back. And then I was home for about 7 years, which in my life is way too long. I love Uppsala, but I can't stay here for 7 years.
Yeah, right.
So when Nathaniel wanted to move to Canada, I was like, yes.
Yes. So I'm really interested in your theater company, and if I'm pronouncing it wrong, Teatro Eros, is that right?
Eros, yeah.
Eros. And I'm really interested in your mandate as well. So can you tell people a little bit more about your theater company?
I'd love to. Yeah.
Because I think it's really important in what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So my theater company is called Teater Eros, and I founded it in 2009 together with my friend Anna Maria Wiklund Mattala.
Hmm.
And we were writing our bachelor thesis in drama pedagogics, and we were like, well, we're getting this degree, we should work with this. And I
What
mean,
can
it's
we
not like
do?
that type of job is like growing on trees or anything. So we're
Yeah.
like, okay, so how are we doing this? And then we got the tips to like found our own foundations. We're like, or organizations. We're like, okay, so we started it. And then we did a project that same summer. So we did a 2-week course teaching young immigrants and refugees Swedish through theater.
It's amazing.
And it turned out really well. And we got a little bit of funding from the municipality. And we're like, oh, this is great. And the kids had a great time. And we had a great time. And they
Yeah.
picked up so much Swedish. And we're like, oh, this is awesome. And
It's
had a
great.
show for like an audience where they were doing the Wild Duck by Ibsen in Swedish, like shortened, but
What?
still.
That's
I
great.
know. I
Wow.
know.
So
So
impressive.
were
And where
we
were
were
people
very
come?
impressed too.
Where were the
Mhm.
refugees from? Like, what were your sort of countries that
All
you were? Yeah.
over. It was, back then, this is 2009. So it was like
Oh,
some
okay.
from Latin America. So it was both like refugees and immigrants. So
Right.
Latin America, like Thailand, I think a few like Somalia, Syria, Kurdistan. It was like, I think it
Yeah.
was like 10
Everywhere.
different nationalities or something. Yeah.
That's great. That's so great. And then,
Mhm.
so were you doing plays or scenes or just teaching them?
It was,
What was your protocol like in terms of like, first you have to focus on the language first, right?
yeah.
Teaching them the language and then giving them material?
Well, first of all, many of them had been in Sweden for like, a month or two.
Ah, okay.
So they, like most people, didn't really know that much Swedish at all.
Right, right.
One of them spoke Spanish, so I spoke a little Spanish with
Oh,
him.
that's right.
A
You
few of
speak
them knew a
Spanish.
word of knew a few words of English, and then sign language and tonality, and we
Mhm.
show. So like because we're two, we can always show the exercise,
Yeah,
and then
right.
they repeat it and they get it, and then we do like what is this called, and we like repeat the words, but it's very fun and it's a lot of laughter and it's a
Yeah,
lot of joy in the learning. So
yes.
the words really stick.
Yeah.
And then after the first week of like a bunch of exercises and like, working with the group to be safe and all of that, we started rehearsing the play. So we gave them scripts I mean, it was very short. It was probably like a 10-minute version of the play.
Yeah,
But
because it's
still.
probably overwhelming to, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, you can't do like a 2-hour play in a week, even with professional actors.
Exactly. Yeah. It's hard
So,
enough just in the professional
yeah.
world.
So, and then we like went through the script and we explain everything and we show everything and we make sure they really understand it and started rehearsing and it went great.
Wow. And did you find, because because of the sort of emotional displacement of people, did you find that you had some emotions come up during the whole thing of like this feeling of, I mean, because you're really giving them a gift of another language and you're supporting them, and these people are displaced, I'm sure, right? So you must have found it very fulfilling for yourself.
It it was great. It was amazing because, and I find this being true for theater everywhere,
Yeah.
when you get a group of people together and they become passionate about what you're doing and you're creating something together, that is always a gift for everyone involved.
Yeah.
So it's a gift as much for us as it is for them. I did not find that first year that there was a lot of like traumas coming to the surface.
Right.
However, in because we started doing this course every summer
Mm-hmm.
and we're still doing it. So I think around 2012 or 13,
Mm-hmm.
we started to notice like more issues. But by then we were collaborating with the Red Cross. So we could help people to be like, okay, you can, like, we could walk with them to someone within the Red Cross organization and be like, you can talk to this person.
Oh, that's great. That's
So that
great.
was good
That's
because
nice.
it's issues that we're not really equipped to deal with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was nice to be able to like find a professional that could. work
Yeah,
with them and
that's
help
really
them.
important. I remember I did a play about date rape when date rape was, well, it's still a problem,
Mm,
but
mm,
in the late 90s, it was a huge issue throughout the theater world and throughout the
mm,
world. And we were going to schools talking to people, and I was playing the rapist in this little play that we did, and we toured all over BC to all these schools, and these young kids were coming up to me after and saying I was, I was abused by my father or my uncle or whoever. And I remember just being like, I don't know what to do. Like,
yeah.
so they did train us after a while. They trained us to, pass, here's the number you need to call, or
Oh,
here's,
good.
and
Hmm.
that's really important for them to be handed over to someone like a professional. And because, that's we are actors, and we do support people in the worst of times. I mean, it's proven that theater is the thing that keeps going
Hmm.
when everything else fails, during the Great Depression and so that's I'm really that's a really great great organization you have in theater company. I think that's a great mandate for everybody, And so
Yeah.
it's still going now. Is it still
Oh
running now?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's it's such a blessing. So we expanded in 2015. We started collaborating with another woman called Linda Pettersson.
Hmm.
And last year we got a really big grant. So we were able to employ a total of 5 people. So now Anna and
Woo!
Oscar joined us. So we're 5.
That's great.
Yeah,
Great.
and I work full time. So I'm so happy. It's
So,
so great.
so during this time, how has your company changed? How are you, how are you going about during COVID?
But so we are not profit driven.
Ah,
We
okay,
get our money from grants and stuff,
right.
which is great. And we work very much in pedagogical settings. So our main focus is still working with refugees or immigrants and teaching Swedish through theater. That's like the main thing that we do, but not the only thing. So we work quite a bit in schools. And
Mhm.
as I said before, like schools are still
They're
open.
all open, right?
Yeah. And then we have some online classes with adult education and
Oh,
high school.
right.
And then we have a few of our groups. So like we have one group that is um, for like the people who just arrived to Sweden and are
Yeah,
seeking asylum. We had
right.
2 groups that got canceled.
Oh,
And
okay.
because of the nature, like these are people who just comes to Sweden, they might not have like a cell phone or a computer to participate in online education.
Yeah.
So those projects have been like delayed. So we will start over in after the summer.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
And we had to cancel all of the shows that we had planned, of course.
Right.
But we could still do like the pedagogical training leading up to the shows. So
Sorry.
it wasn't the shows that we were doing for the spring, it was like our youth group were doing a really big show, and then we
Okay.
had our adult theater group were doing a show. So we've still had like the rehearsals,
Hmm.
except that we knew we were rehearsing for a show that probably might not happen.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's great during this time, though, to keep their minds busy at least, and
Yeah.
keep everyone active. The creative energy and spirit is so important right now. Like, that's why I'm doing this, because
Yeah.
I'm the type of person, I can't sit around in my apartment. I am always painting or songwriting or something, And you're also a singer as well?
No.
No. Oh,
No,
okay. I
no.
don't know where.
No.
Fake news. Fake news.
I wish, but I'm not.
Right.
I'm a director though.
Yeah.
So I direct and I write and I act and I
Do
teach acting.
Right. And so what's the social distancing situation like within the schools? Do they have how are the kids set up, or is there any?
I wouldn't say in the schools that I've been to, I haven't noticed any, except routines being highly implemented, like wash your hands
Right.
throughout the day, basically, and things like that.
There's no spacing of their desks, or no barriers or nothing like
No,
that.
not in the
Huh,
schools that I've been in, but
interesting.
it's also been sort of proven might be strong, but it's not indicative that young children are
True.
sh-
Susceptible. Yeah.
transmitting the virus.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So, and like very, very, very few really young people have been affected by it.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah, I have. I think I had a note here that over half of the cases in Sweden are elderly people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here, people over 70 in risk groups are advised to social
Yeah.
distance. Yeah, and that's the same here too. But that's it was changing, but that's so now. What's your daily life like? You obviously live with your husband there.
Mm-hmm.
What's a day like for you in
It's a lot of
this?
working from home.
Okay.
So he's a cinematographer. So
Right.
when it's still a bit of set stuff happening, especially because we're Christians and we work within the church community as well. He's being hired to film a lot of sermons
Oh,
because
yeah,
everything is
that's
online.
interesting. Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So he does that. And of course, when he's filming, he's on set, but then he edits a lot at home.
Yeah.
And when I'm not teaching, I work from my computer. So then I'm at home too. So it's a lot
Yeah.
of working from home, which I'm sure a lot of people relate to.
Yes. And what is the sort of a viewpoint on mask wearing in Sweden?
It's not, I mean, except within the healthcare, of course.
Right.
But on the streets, you see it sometimes, but it's very rare. It's
Hmm.
very uncommon.
And restaurants are open there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they do have like every other table is canceled and that kind of thing
Okay.
to
And
keep
takeout,
distance.
curbside takeout and all that, like, or
Um,
or are people
well,
actually
I think
sitting?
I think you can both get it on the curb and go into the restaurant to
Hmm.
get it.
Okay.
But I think one of the big differences, which is hard for most people to grasp, maybe not so much for a Canadian though, because I find that Canadian culture and Swedish culture is very similar, but
Yeah.
social distancing is kind of in our bodies
Yeah.
from the
It's
day we're
true.
born.
It's
Yeah.
true. We're actually lucky in Canada. We're so spread out. I was thinking that the other day. I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, I can actually go out and find a street where there's not a million people, and
Yep.
that's not New York. That's not like unless
Mm-mm.
you're in the middle of Central Park. But
Oh man. Yeah,
yeah, we
no.
have a bit more to deal with, right? In terms of space.
Oh
So,
yeah, so
yeah.
much. Which
Mm.
is it's both great and sad.
Right. Yeah.
So like someone had taken a picture of like a bus stop and it said before COVID-19 and after COVID-19 and it's the exact same picture.
Right.
So like I mean people kind of tend to keep to themselves a lot,
Yeah.
which I think is because I work so much with people that are not from Sweden. I notice that that affects them very heavily in a negative way because
Mhm.
it's hard to contact people. It's hard to get those like spontaneous chit chat going while you're waiting for the bus or whatever you're doing
Yeah.
because
Right.
people are usually pretty reserved.
Yeah.
Not mean or not nice, but pretty reserved. And I mean, since the smartphones entered into society, it's even more like
Oh, yeah.
focused on
It's a
that.
reason to go and look
Hmm.
away, right? Yeah, I find that
Yeah.
too, like, dating's a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. So that makes it, I mean, if you come from a country where people will be having a coffee at an outside cafe or something, just talking the afternoon away with strangers, and you come to Sweden, like you won't find that at all,
Ah, gotcha.
which
Okay.
can make a lot of people like involuntary isolated.
Right. That's interesting. And did the lockdown happen there pretty quickly when everything broke out? Or I heard that that's actually one reason why Sweden's done so well is they locked down pretty quickly. Is that
Um,
true?
I don't know. We came home March
Oh.
3rd from Vancouver.
Oh,
And
okay.
about a week after they closed all the high schools and all the universities and transferred everything
Hmm.
online.
So that's pretty early, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but as I said, like stores and stuff has still been open,
Yeah,
but with a lot of measurements and like keeping the distance and stuff like that.
right. Hmm.
Um, so I think I want to say that I think it's the natural social distancing that we do. And of course, we've been
Yeah.
reminded every day, several times a day, that like keep the distance,
Yeah.
don't shake hands, don't hug, don't
Just
do
logical
any of that.
things. Yeah. Right.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and people are very obedient. I think
Mm,
that is a
great.
huge thing. So like we haven't had any like rules or laws for like that forbids us to do anything.
Right.
But if the government says like keep your social distance, then everyone is like, okay, we need to keep our social distance. It's like,
Yes, sir. We will do that. Well,
yes.
yeah, the government doesn't chime in very often when we're in these, we're in countries that are pretty liberal, So
Mhm.
when the government starts saying that, you're like, oh, well, I guess this is
You better
serious.
do it.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, when they bring in the National Guard in the States, that's when things get serious. Like, it's kind of a similar type of thing, right?
Hmm.
Well, and that's really interesting, like the way things have, but I guess when we look at the counts, like when I say, the count of Sweden is 36,000 cases,
Hmm.
but like how many people have been tested though is the question. That's what
Yeah.
when I always look at it. And then how many people live in the country, if there's half, a lot of your countryside is woods and a lot of people live up in the mountains, and right? Same in Canada.
Hmm.
Are those people tested? We don't know, right?
So I think testing is the biggest issue in our strategy, and that's because we haven't tested. That there is a goal to test 100,000 people a week. I don't
Right.
think we're even halfway there. We're like that might not be true. I don't know the exact stats, but I know we're
Yeah.
far from testing 100,000 people a week.
Right. Because
And
people
that
actually
was
have to come out to do it. You can't.
yeah, exactly. And that was a huge thing, like during March and biggest part of April, that people weren't tested unless they were really, really, really sick or working,
Yeah.
as a nurse or within the healthcare.
Yeah.
So how many actually had it? It's impossible to say.
Do you think that's a mistake that they might have made? Like not kind of saying, "Oh, don't get." I mean, I know here it was very much. I had a scare when it first all started, and I was about to go to Halifax to do a show, and
Hmm.
I was like, "Oh, I better get tested because I don't want to infect the cast."
Right.
And so I went and got tested. Everything was fine, but like the minute I got to the hospital, they said, "Oh, have you been around anyone who you think might be positive?" I'm like, I don't know, like
Yeah.
the guy on the subway. I don't know like
Yeah.
who knows? So I said,
Yeah.
not that I know of. And then there was like, here's the symptoms. Are you showing any of these? And I didn't have any other than a sore throat. And they're like, we can't really. And then I'm like, yeah, I do have kind of a sore throat, a little tightness in my chest. And then they tested me, but I didn't.
Hmm.
I just wanted to have that test.
Yeah. No, in Sweden, you couldn't do that before. If you wanted to have a test and you didn't show any symptoms, they'd be like,
Right.
no, go
Yeah.
home.
Right.
One thing that they did implement though is that any sign of any type of cold or any kind of sickness, stay home.
Right.
And one thing
Same
the
here.
government, yeah, one thing the government did. So in Sweden, when you stay home, because you have sick pay, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the first day you don't get any pay. So it's like
Oh.
it's just the way the system works. So
Hmm.
what the government did was they took away that day where you lose all of the salary
Ah,
to
okay.
make it less economically affecting to stay at home even for a little bit of a sore throat. And
Right.
I think that might have been an efficient way too, because then people stay home even though normally they probably would have gone to work, and
Yeah.
some of them might have already been infected,
Yeah.
and
Right.
they don't spread it.
So that could have helped the curve, right?
Yeah,
That could have helped the curve a lot. Well, yeah, that's a
yeah,
really interesting thing. So, are people on employment insurance there? Do you have employment insurance, or
yeah.
if people lose their jobs or whatever? Yeah,
Yes, I mean most people do.
right.
It is just like Canada, like the social welfare is comparatively speaking very strong.
That's true, right?
Um, but of course, people are being economically affected. And if you're a freelancer
Yeah,
or within the arts, you're
yeah.
super affected.
We're in the gray area. We don't we rely on our unions or our funding things to kind of save us. But once the
Yeah.
government decides, oh, you're not part of that, then we fall between that. It's
Hmm.
crazy. Yeah, that's nuts. So, well, I really hope that. I mean, it sounds like you haven't really been hard pressed, like had a hard time, thank God, because of your theater group being funded by the government, right?
Yeah.
Schools there are actually free, right? To
Yeah.
go to
Yeah.
university, it's free, it's funded.
Yeah.
I'm moving to Sweden. That's it.
Yeah.
You have an extra room.
We have a couch.
Perfect. Now I just have to swim over there and
Yeah.
find my way. Well, I really wish you luck with your company, and I hope you come back to Canada and we can meet with Jen, have
Yeah.
coffee in the street one day. And thank you so much for coming on and talking about. It's really important for people to know what's happening in every country and how people are coping, and so we can make our own deductions about what to
Yeah.
do, right? Pull all our thoughts, and say hello to your husband for me.
Will do. And he might be watching.
Right? Hello, Nathan. And yes, so have a great day, and we'll thank Jen too for bringing you on as well, and we really appreciate you coming on. It's just me. We really appreciate her being on, right, guys?
Well, I appreciate the invitation. It was fun.
Awesome, Hanya. Thank you so much, and
Thank you, Jeff.
you're welcome. And take care of yourself. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. How do you say bye in Swedish?
Hej då.
Hej då.
Yeah.
Not bad. No.
Hej då.
Hej då. Okay. Thank you, Hanya. Oh, what a sweet woman. Thank you, Jen, for copying. Yay, I love you too. That was so great. Such a wonderful woman, and her husband utilizing. I never thought of that. People in the film industry actually being hired to do. Hold on. Other work within the church or within sermons, or people who are going online to conferences and that kind of stuff. That's actually a really great way. We have no idea what our film industry will be like after this, but hey, I'm sure Jen can attest to performing on camera with the other actor not being there and just staring in, to a woman with a book, to the script supervisor, and playing a scene like that. I have a feeling that's what our film industry is going to turn into. Less extras or none, maybe virtual extras, or what do you call it? Digitally inserted, and then actors. I mean, we already play so far away from each other that actually is one of the most, it throws you as an actor if you've done stage before. We do it on stage too, where we act very, very far away from somebody. But in film and television, when you go to hug somebody or hand somebody something, you actually have to pretend that they're right there when actually they're 5-6 feet away or not there at all. And you're just handing something to them, so we're already kind of in that mode, but it could be taken to extreme. And also the US, who knows when the US will actually be, when our borders will be open to having the US folks come on up and make some more productions. We hope, right, guys? We hope that the borders will open back up, and the orange dusted Cheeto there will be thrown out, or something will change and shift. Obviously, everything is really up in the air right now. I wanted to, hey, we've got some comments here. Hey, Holly McLeod. My cousins are McLeods. So hello, Holly from Prince Edward Island. And Jen made a short for there. I got it. Yeah. Ah, awesome. Well, I can't wait to see that, Jen. You'll have to post that. I wanted to check in with my infield reporter, Lloyd Dickie Robinson Johnson, who is a relative of Lloyd Robertson somehow. And we kind of lost touch with him. I have no idea. So here's the map of his journey. He was last seen in Portugal on a beach with a bunch of young women, and then he's traveled 36 hours north he was supposed to be in Sweden. So he was supposed to be giving us some reporting from Sweden and fact checking, but I haven't heard from him. So we've got the interview in the file here. I'm just he sent me something this morning. Let me just check.
Hola from the Netherlands. Yes, it's my home country. Well, it used to be. I used to know Dutch. I'm here with my friend Henky. He's over there fixing the boat. I'll see if I can see him. I don't know if you can see him. He's in there somewhere. Okay. Waar ben je dan, gek? Ze zijn op televisie, maar kom dan. He's fixing the boat. The oil thing broke, apparently. Look, there's some boats over there, too. It's a great country. Woo. So I'm in Holland, as I said. They're still on lockdown. They're still on lockdown till around September, apparently. Henky was telling me his uncle Paul, Den Edel, he doesn't have to go back to work till September. So that's pretty good. I am looking forward to heading out to Sweden, but I need a little bit of a rest and maybe a beer and a herring. They're crazy to have a herring. You just put it in your mouth like, but it tastes good. I'm gonna try it. All right, well, I hope to be in Sweden before you know it. And this is a great place, Holland. It's exciting, isn't it? It's a nice look at the boats, and I can smell the clogs. All right, well, take care and toodaloo.
No, turn around. No, we don't need you in Sweden. You got to head to Montenegro. Shit, man, hi guys. Just on the phone to Lloyd. He's obviously in the Netherlands and headed to Sweden, but we've already talked to Janya in Sweden, so he's going to make his way down to Montenegro now because that's where we need him to be. So however he needs to get there, we'll hope that he'll take the fast train or the slow boat to somewhere else, but hopefully the fast train down to Montenegro, which is where we're going to have our next guest interviewed. Anyway, I don't know how the guy got the job. I probably hired him, I guess. But yes, thanks, Lloyd Dickey Robinson Johnson. We'll check in with him again in Montenegro in a few days, and hopefully he's all right. Okay, well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you learned a lot today. I hope you were educated and we're feeling the effects of what's happening in the States, and we want to send our blessings to all those people who are being affected by that and who are thrown into a state of frenzy. And it's actually bleeding over into Canada too. So I hope that everyone will take care of each other and take care of yourselves. And we'll see you in a couple of days on Tuesday. We'll be talking to Zdravko. And hopefully Lloyd will be in line. Thanks, everybody. Bless you all and take care of yourselves. Thanks for tuning in.